Hey there, English learners, and welcome back to the English Flow podcast. I'm your host, and I am absolutely thrilled you've joined me today for what's going to be a game-changing episode. Today, we're diving deep into something that trips up even advanced English learners, talking about vacations in a natural, engaging way that actually sounds like native speakers. Here's the thing. I was just at a coffee shop yesterday and I overheard two conversations. The first was between two Americans talking about their recent trips. They were animated, using colorful expressions, sharing vivid details, and really connecting through their stories. Right next to them, I heard an English learner trying to describe their vacation. And you know what? They had perfect grammar. Their pronunciation was clear, but something was missing. The conversation felt flat, robotic, and ended quickly. That's exactly what we're going to fix today. By the end of this episode, you'll have a complete toolkit of authentic phrases, natural expressions, and conversational strategies that will transform how you talk about travel experiences. We're not just learning words, we're learning to paint pictures with language, problem identification. Let me paint a scenario that probably sounds familiar. You've just returned from an incredible vacation. Maybe you explored ancient temples in Japan, surfed waves in Costa Rica, or discovered hidden cafes in Paris. Your English-speaking colleague approaches you Monday morning with genuine curiosity. How was your trip? Inside your head, you have a movie playing, stunning sunsets, delicious food, friendly locals, unexpected adventures. You want to share the magic of your experience. But what comes out of your mouth? It was good. Very nice. I enjoyed it. Your colleague nods politely, says, "That's great," and walks away. The conversation dies, and you feel frustrated because you couldn't capture even a fraction of what made your trip special. This happens because traditional English courses teach you to be grammatically correct, but they don't teach you to be conversationally compelling. There's a massive difference between describing something and bringing it to life through storytelling. Native speakers don't just report facts about their vacations. They create mini adventures through their words. They use specific sensory details, emotional language, and natural flow patterns that make listeners want to hear more. The problem isn't your English level. The problem is that nobody ever taught you the authentic vocabulary and structures that native speakers use instinctively when sharing travel experiences. Today, we're changing that completely. Solution. Overview. Here's what we're going to accomplish in the next 20 minutes together. First, I'm going to teach you the three-layer approach to vacation storytelling that native speakers use automatically. This isn't just random phrases. It's a systematic way of building engaging travel narratives. Layer 1 is foundation phrases. These set the stage and create context. Layer 2 is experience amplifiers. These add color, emotion, and sensory details. Layer 3 is connection builders. These invite further conversation and create memorable interactions. We'll explore each layer with real examples, practice, authentic pronunciation, and then put everything together in realistic conversation scenarios. But here's what makes this different from other English lessons. We're not just memorizing phrases. We're developing your storytelling intuition. By the end, you'll understand why certain expressions work and how to adapt them to any travel experience. You'll learn to recognize the subtle differences between tourist language and traveler language, between reporting and storytelling, between polite responses and engaging conversations. Most importantly, you'll develop confidence in your ability to share experiences in a way that connects with English speakers and makes them genuinely interested in your adventures. Layer 1. Foundation phrases. Let's start with Layer 1, foundation phrases. These are the building blocks that native speakers use to establish context and set the tone for their travel stories. Instead of saying, "I went to Italy," native speakers add context and personality. Listen to these alternatives. "I just got back from this incredible trip to Italy." "I finally made it to Italy, been dreaming about it for years." "I treated myself to a solo adventure in Italy." "My partner and I escaped to Italy for our anniversary." Notice how each phrase immediately gives more information and creates a different mood. The word "finally" suggests anticipation. "Treated myself" implies self-care and luxury. "Escaped" suggests relief from routine. For duration, instead of "I stayed 5 days," try "I spent a perfect 5 days there." "I had 5 jam-packed days exploring." "I only had 5 days, but it felt like a lifetime." 5 days flew by way too fast. Each version conveys not just time, but your relationship with that time. For accommodation, move beyond the hotel. "Was nice. We stumbled upon this charming little boutique hotel. We splurged on a hotel with the most incredible view. We found this hidden gem of a place through a local recommendation. We roughed it in a hostel and met amazing people." The verbs here are crucial. Stumbled upon suggests serendipity. Splurged indicates intentional luxury. Roughed it shows adventure spirit. For companions, instead of "I went with my friend," "My best friend and I decided to be spontaneous." "I convinced my sister to join me on this crazy adventure." "I met up with my college roommate for a reunion trip." "I went solo and loved every minute of the independence." These phrases don't just state facts. They hint at relationships, motivations, and personality. Practice these now by pausing and creating your own foundation phrase for a real or imaginary trip. Don't just state facts. Add personality and context. Layer 2. Experience amplifiers. Now, let's move to Layer 2. Experience amplifiers. These are the phrases that transform basic descriptions into vivid, engaging stories. Native speakers rarely describe weather as just good or bad. They paint pictures. "The weather couldn't have been more perfect." "We got lucky with absolutely gorgeous sunshine." "It was one of those magical, crisp autumn days." "The rain actually made everything more romantic and cozy." "The heat was intense, but in that perfect tropical way." For food experiences, move beyond the food was delicious. Every single meal was a revelation. I became completely obsessed with the local cuisine. The flavors were unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I ate my way through the entire city. The street food scene completely blew my mind. I'm still dreaming about this incredible pasta dish. Notice how these phrases convey not just taste, but emotional impact and lasting memory. for activities instead of "we saw many things." We wandered through these incredible hidden neighborhoods. We stumbled across the most amazing local festival. We got completely lost and discovered the best hole-in-the-wall restaurant. We spent hours just people-watching in the main square. We hiked to this breathtaking viewpoint that wasn't in any guidebook. For cultural experiences, the locals were incredibly welcoming and patient with my broken Spanish. I felt like I stepped back in time walking through the old city. The art scene there is absolutely thriving and inspiring. I learned so much about the history just by talking to people. The music and energy in the streets was infectious for unexpected moments. We had this spontaneous adventure that wasn't even planned. The highlight wasn't what I expected at all. We ended up having the most incredible conversation with a local artist. This random recommendation from our taxi driver led to the best day ever. We almost missed our train, but it turned into the perfect excuse to stay longer. The key with experience amplifiers is specificity and emotional connection. Instead of generic positive words, use phrases that help listeners visualize and feel your experience. Layer 3. Connection builders. Layer 3 consists of connection builders, phrases that invite further conversation and create memorable interactions with your listeners. Instead of ending with "it was great," use phrases that open doors. You absolutely have to experience it yourself. I could talk about this trip for hours. It completely changed my perspective on travel. I'm already plotting my return trip. It's definitely going on my list of places everyone should visit. For recommendations, be specific and enthusiastic. If you ever go, you have to try this little family restaurant I discovered. There's this one street that captures the entire essence of the city. The sunset from the bridge is something you'll remember forever. Don't even think about leaving without visiting the local markets. For creating curiosity, the most incredible thing happened on our last day. I learned something about myself I never expected. We met this fascinating person who completely changed our plans. There's one story from the trip I'll never forget. For future connections, I'd love to go back someday with a group of friends. It made me realize how much more of that region I want to explore. Now I understand why everyone raves about that destination. It definitely won't be my last time in that part of the world. These connection builders serve multiple purposes. They show enthusiasm, invite questions, create shared interests, and leave conversations open for future discussions. The goal is to make your travel stories not just informative, but inspiring and memorable for your listeners. Real conversation practice. Now let's put all 3 layers together in realistic conversation scenarios. I'll demonstrate natural flow, then we'll practice together. Scenario 1. Casual workplace conversation. Hey! How was your weekend getaway? Oh my gosh, it was exactly what I needed. My sister and I escaped to this incredible little coastal town about 2 hours north. We found this charming bed and breakfast right on the cliff overlooking the ocean. The weather couldn't have been more perfect. Those crisp, clear days where the light just makes everything magical. We spent our mornings hiking these scenic coastal trails and our afternoons just lounging in this amazing little cafe watching the waves. The seafood there is absolutely incredible. I'm still thinking about this lobster roll that basically changed my life. We met the most interesting people, including this local artist who gave us all these hidden gem recommendations. I could honestly go back every weekend. Have you ever been up that way? Notice the natural flow from foundation to experience amplifiers to connection builders. It's not just reporting, it's storytelling. Scenario 2. Meeting new people. So tell me about your recent travels. I just got back from what I can only describe as a life-changing solo adventure in Morocco. I'd been dreaming about going for years and finally just booked the ticket. 10 days of complete cultural immersion, staying in traditional riads, getting completely lost in the Medinas, and eating the most incredible tagines with families who invited me to join them. The sensory overload was incredible. The colors, the sounds, the spices. I learned basic Arabic phrases from this amazing guide who became like a local grandfather to me. The highlight was definitely this spontaneous desert camping experience that wasn't even part of my original plan. It made me realize how much I love traveling solo and really connecting with local culture. Morocco is definitely calling me back. Are you someone who likes to travel off the beaten path? Your turn to practice. Now, I want you to think of a recent trip, even if it was just a weekend somewhere nearby. Apply all 3 layers. First, set your foundation with context and personality. Then add experience amplifiers with specific, vivid details. Finally, use connection builders to invite further conversation. Take 30 seconds and practice out loud. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on natural flow and enthusiasm, advanced tips and cultural insights. Before we wrap up, let me share some advanced tips that will take your vacation conversations to the next level. Tip 1. Use sensory language. Native speakers don't just describe what they saw, they include what they heard, smelled, felt, and tasted. The markets were alive with the sound of haggling and the aroma of fresh bread. This creates more engaging, memorable descriptions. Tip 2. Include mini challenges. Americans love stories about overcoming small obstacles or navigating unfamiliar situations. We got completely turned around in the subway system, but that's how we discovered this incredible neighborhood we never would have found otherwise. Tip 3. Show personal growth. Mention how the experience affected you. It reminded me how much I love being spontaneous. Or, it made me appreciate how friendly people are when you make an effort to speak their language. Tip 4. Use contrasting language. I expected it to be touristy, but it was surprisingly authentic, or it looked small from the outside. But inside, it was like entering another world. Tip 5. Cultural sensitivity. When describing other cultures, focus on positive curiosity rather than comparison. I loved learning about their family traditions, rather than, it was so different from home. Tip 6. Timing and pacing. Don't rush through your stories. Native speakers pause for emphasis, vary their tone, and allow for reactions. Practice telling your stories with natural rhythm. Remember, the goal isn't to sound perfect, it's to sound genuine and engaging. Wrap up and call to action, all right, my amazing English Flow listeners. Let's recap what we've accomplished today. You now have a complete 3-layer system for talking about vacations like a native speaker. You understand foundation phrases that set context with personality. experience amplifiers that bring stories to life with vivid details, and connection builders that create engaging, memorable conversations. More importantly, you understand the difference between reporting facts and storytelling. You know that native speakers don't just describe their travels. They create mini adventures through their words that invite listeners into their experiences. Here's your homework for this week. Practice telling one travel story using all three layers. It could be from a recent trip, a childhood vacation, or even a day trip to a nearby city. Focus on natural flow, specific details, and enthusiastic delivery. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message on social media sharing one specific phrase or tip that you're excited to try. Your feedback helps me create even better content for our English Flow community. Next week, we're diving into another essential conversation topic that trips up even advanced learners, talking about your hobbies and interests in a way that creates real connections with native speakers. Until then, keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, every conversation is an opportunity to improve your English flow. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next episode.